Hansi Flick's Barcelona has just proven that it wasn't dead, it was simply waiting to get its key pieces back. After the painful stumble against Chelsea, Flick identified the mistakes, fixed them, and the team rebounded against Alavés and Atlético Madrid. Today, I'm going to explain why this Barça is exciting again. The tactical transformation, the return of Pedri and Raphinha, the otherworldly level of Joan García, the quiet leadership of Lewandowski, the impact of Lamine Yamal, and the emergence of Gerard Martin after the inevitable departure of Ronald Araujo. All of this is transforming a team that is competing again, and frightening opponents once more. Let's begin. The turning point of this season wasn't a victory, it was a defeat. The day Barcelona fell to Chelsea, it became clear that something inside the team was completely broken. These weren't just isolated mistakes, it was an accumulation of individual errors, disconnections, poor spacing, and a team that split in two every time it lost the ball. The defense was exposed like never before. The centre-backs weren't coordinating their marking, the full-backs weren't tucking inside, and the defensive midfielders were late to every coverage. The team simply wasn't reacting in time. And at the center of that storm, there was one clear name: Ronald Araujo. Araujo had been stringing together decisive mistakes over several matches, failed build-ups from the back, poor anticipation, bad reading of passing lanes, losses unworthy of a defensive leader. What was supposed to be Barcelona's wall had become a constant source of danger. Flick knew it, and for the first time since his arrival, he made a decision that only brave managers dare to make. He benched him. That was the first move of the reset. Without Araujo, Flick reorganized the entire defensive system. He reduced the distance between the centre-backs and the pivots, instructed the team to press more compactly, and demanded that the first line, Lewandowski included, activate the press much earlier. Barcelona stopped running backward and started running forward. It was no longer a broken team, it was a block. But there was something even more important. The defense stopped defending alone. Against Chelsea, every player looked disconnected from the next. Against Alavés and Atlético, Barcelona defended as a team again. When they lost the ball, there was a plan. When they pressed, there was synchronization. When they dropped back, they all did it together. But if we're talking about players who are driving this new Barça, there's one more name that must be added, one who made a statement today: Ferran Torres. In Barcelona's league victory over Betis, Ferran returned to the starting lineup and delivered a hat-trick that completely changes his role within the team. This Barça needed an attacker who could run into space, disrupt defenses, and turn chances into goals. That new high-press Flick has implemented, and today Ferran proved he can be that player. Ferran started from the opening minute as a centre-forward. His first goal came from a 1-2 involving Yamal, Roan, and Cone, which ended in the 1-1 equaliser against an aggressive Real Betis. The second goal came from a phenomenal assist by Rooney, which Ferran finished with a half volley inside the box, and the third goal completed the hat-trick for the former Valencia and Manchester City player. Barça once again showed character by coming back for the third matchday in a row, this time with an attacking exhibition at La Cartuja. Rony Bardacci and Lamine Yamal accompanied Ferran's show, confirming that Flick's new attacking trident has dynamite. The first half was a whirlwind that left Betis without an answer and solidified the team as the league's clear leader. Ferran's impact in attack, combined with Barca's collective power, allowed for another fundamental change. Flick was able to introduce a new leadership figure into the team. We begin with the now centre-back, Gerard Martin. The young centre-back perfectly understood what Flick wanted: composure in the build-up, precision on the first touch, and controlled aggression in duels. No unnecessary risks, no lapses in concentration. Unlike Araujo, Gerard Martin provided stability where there had previously been uncertainty. All of this brought back an element that seemed lost: identity. A Barça that is once again intense, brave, and organized. A Barça that knows how to press, how to stay compact, and when to accelerate or when to slow down. A recognizable Barça. And most importantly, a Barça that is competing again. If Barça managed to rediscover itself, it wasn't only because of tactical decisions. It was because 3 players returned who, without exaggeration, support the team from completely different profiles: Pedri, Raphinha, and Joan García. 3 footballers who provide things that no one else in the squad can replicate. Pedri. The order Barça was missing. When Pedri isn't there, Barcelona plays fast, rushed, and impatient. Every possession feels like a race against the clock. But when Pedri returns, everything falls into place. It's not just that he delivers good passes, it's that he gives the team meaning. Pedri is composure, he is clarity. He is the player who decides when to run and when to think. When he receives the ball, the rest of the team can breathe. His mere presence improves positioning, creates more passing lanes, makes possessions last longer, and allows the team to move as one, something Flick considers sacred. With Pedri, Barca stops being chaotic and becomes a team with intent. A team that controls the game and knows how to hurt opponents. Raphinha, the warrior Flick needs. The Brazilian didn't just come back to attack. He came back to defend like a Flick winger, one who works, who bites, who corrects, and who triggers presses as if they were goals. Raphinha is aggression. He is pure intensity. He is the player the coach can use as a detonator to activate a high press. And at the same time, when he receives the ball near the box, he remains one of the most dangerous, unbalancing players on the team. He dribbles, breaks lines, moves between centre-back and full-back, and creates advantages for others to exploit. With him on the field, the press started to work. Without him, Barca fell apart. Joan García, the goalkeeper who changed everything. Barcelona's goalkeeping situation was a silent problem until Joan García returned. With him, something very simple yet very powerful happened. Barca stopped being afraid of losing the ball. Joan is total security. Excellent reading of the game. Strong personality. Lightning-fast short distribution. And reflexes that have saved points without showing up in any possession statistic. When he plays, Flick can instruct the team to build from the back without fear. They take risks, but they don't expose themselves. The team trusts. The centre-backs play facing forward. The pivots aren't afraid to receive the ball under pressure. Joan García doesn't just make saves. He gives identity to the build-up. When Pedri, Raphinha, and Joan García returned, 3 fundamental elements aligned for Flick. Ball control Pedri. Organized pressing and sacrifice, Raphinha. Security in the build-up and defensive confidence, Joan García. And when you combine control, plus pressure, plus security, the team regains its essence. There was no need for a revolution. They were the ones needed. Ronald Araujo's removal from the starting lineup was no coincidence. It was a clear message from Flick. Hierarchy does not outweigh performance, and defensive mistakes were dragging Barca down. After the blow against Chelsea, the coach understood that he needed calm, not adrenaline. That's when Gerard Martín stepped in. Araujo had stopped guaranteeing the non-negotiables: control in the build-up, tactical awareness, and defensive synchronization. Gerard Martín offers exactly the opposite: order, precision, and composure. His profile is different from the rest. A centre-back who doesn't rush, who anticipates cleanly, and who always chooses the logical option. In a Barca that wants to build from the back, that logic is a superpower. With him, the team can breathe. His first pass breaks pressure, his ball carrying is measured, and his connection with Joan García flows naturally. Flick found what he was looking for: a centre-back who stabilizes the high block, who knows when to slow things down and when to accelerate, and who guides the build-up toward order, not chaos. That's why he trusts him so much: reliability, discipline, and a clear outlet that makes the system work. Gerard Martín didn't come in just out of necessity. He came in to stay. Barca needed a stabilizer. Flick found one in him. Lamine Yamal, the key that opens defenses. Lamine Yamal is, without question, Barcelona's most unpredictable and game-breaking player. But what's most interesting isn't just his talent, it's how Flick is using him to transform the team's attacking structure. How does Flick use him? Flick understands that Lamine shouldn't be overloaded with complex tactical responsibilities. No asking him to drift too far inside or to drop all the way back to the pivot line. His mission is much simpler and much more lethal. Stretch, wait, destroy. He always places him in extreme width, glued to the touchline, forcing the opposing fullback to make a decision, either stay one-on-one with him or open up a fatal gap inside. His role in width. Lamine isn't just any winger. When he receives the ball in a one-on-one, the opposing defense panics. That's why Flick pins him to the right flank. He draws markers, forces double teams, and breaks the opponent's system from the very first touch. And all of this happens without him needing to touch the ball much. His mere presence already creates fear. How does he create advantages? When Lamine receives the ball, opposing defenses make a very common mistake. They overreact. In that moment, 3 advantages are created. The inside channel opens up for Pedri. Pedri takes advantage of these spaces to receive between the lines. The gap between centre-back and full-back opens for Raphinha or Dani Olmo. That's where Barca's most dangerous attacks emerge. Lewandowski is left one-on-one with a centre-back. And even if he's no longer the fastest, he's still smart enough to make the most of it. Lamine creates advantages without exaggerating his movements. He does it simply by being himself. Why is he the most game-changing player? Because he has something no one else on the team has. The ability to eliminate defenders, change pace, and break down defenses in an instant. When the match is tight, Flick gives him the ball. When the team lacks clarity, Flick looks to the right. When they need a different kind of play, everyone knows where the solution is. Lamine doesn't just attack. He makes Barca work. His partnership with Pedri and Raphinha. Here is one of the keys to the team's resurgence. Pedri plays the ball, draws defenders, frees Lamine. Lamine takes on defenders, draws opponents, frees Raphinha inside. Raphinha attacks the gaps, forces the fullback to drop, and frees Lamine once again. The 3 of them form a perfect triangle. A triangle that creates passing lanes, breaks markers, and destroys opposing structures. Yamal is the spark. Pedri is the order. Raphinha is the aggression. This is how a modern attack is built. The offensive shift. Lewandowski and his dirty work. Robert Lewandowski is no longer there to score 30 goals a season. And Flick knows it. But the German coach doesn't want him on the field only for his goal-scoring instinct, but because he is the player who allows others to shine. Even if he's not there for 30 goals, he's there for 30 advantages. Lewandowski's greatness now isn't in the final numbers, but in every off-the-ball movement. Every time he shows for the ball, pins defenders, drags them, or turns a centre-back, he creates an advantage for someone else. And in a team full of vertical wingers, that is gold. Lewandowski draws both centre-backs. Neither wants to leave him alone. Neither wants to let him turn. And while they're focused on him, Lamine receives freely. Raphinha attacks the gaps. Dani Olmo arrives from the second line. Rashford bursts in like an arrow from the left. Lewandowski does the dirty work, and the others do the damage. His ability to play with his back to goal is key. When Louis receives the ball, he buys time for the entire attack to push up and occupy dangerous areas. He's practically a number 10 disguised as a striker. He doesn't run like he used to, but he thinks better than ever. He allows Raphinha, Lamine, and Rashford to receive the ball in favourable conditions. If those 3 receive with space, it's because Lewandowski has already pinned the opponent. If they receive with an advantage, it's because Louis dragged the centre-back exactly where Flick wanted. If they receive to feet with room, it's because Louis set the screen no one sees. He's a striker who understood that his value lies in what he creates, not only in what he finishes. At his age, the normal thing would be for him to disappear from the starting lineup. But Lewandowski has found a perfect role in this Barca. That of a leader without the ball. He organizes the press, gives instructions to the wingers, positions himself where Flick wants him, and never disconnects from the game. His presence turns Barca into a more mature team. And that maturity is exactly what young players like Lamine or newly integrated ones like Rashford needed. Lewandowski no longer shines like he once did, but he makes everyone else shine. The arrival of Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford's arrival at Barcelona changed a dynamic the team had been trying to solve for years. The lack of a player who truly attacks space with real threat. For a long time, Barca had possession, had control, had talent, but lacked penetration. And without penetration, the opponent is never afraid. With Rashford, that ended. What does he bring to the system? Rashford brings something that transforms Flick's entire attacking plan. Pure verticality. He doesn't come to over-associate. He doesn't need to touch the ball 40 times to feel important. His real influence comes when he runs in behind the fullback, drags centre-backs, forces the opponent to drop deep, and creates space so Barca can attack with an advantage. In a team loaded with interior talent, Rashford is the missing wide piece. Speed plus, runs in behind, plus constant threat. Rashford has become a tactical nightmare because he offers three things that very few Barca wingers had. Speed. A speed that changes the opponent's defensive structure. When he takes off, the fullback hesitates, the centre-back shifts wide, and the midfielders drop out of fear of the space. His mere presence alters the opponent's shape. Runs in behind. Rashford doesn't wait. He attacks the space even before the pass exists. That forces the defense to retreat 2 or 3 extra meters. Meters Flick uses so Pedri, Raphinha, or Lamine can receive to feet without pressure. Constant threat. He never switches off. He's always active. Always looking at the fullback's back shoulder. Always searching for the through ball. Always stretching the opposing line. Rashford turns every Barca possession into a potentially deep attack. How does he force opponents to drop deep? Here is the real reason Flick uses him so much. When the opponent steps up, Rashford destroys them with runs in behind. When the opponent drops deep, he opens gaps between the lines for Pedri. When they double up with a centre-back, he frees Lewandowski. And when they don't double him, he takes them on and creates danger on his own. Teams can no longer press Barca as high as they used to. Because if they do, Rashford appears in behind in 2 seconds. His presence changes the entire geography of the match. His fit alongside Lamine and Lewandowski. Here is the most beautiful part of the system. Lamine stretches the field on the right and creates superiority through dribbling. Lewandowski pins centre-backs inside and draws markers. Rashford attacks the open space on the left. It's an attacking triangle that combines dribbling plus fixation plus depth. When these three are together, Barca can attack in any way. Out wide, through the middle, by carrying the ball, with combination play, or into space with speed. And, most importantly, the three complement each other without getting in each other's way. Rashford offers exactly what Barcelona has been missing for years. A winger who breaks defenses without needing many touches. A player who doesn't demand the spotlight, but earns it naturally. A threat that changes games without showing up in possession statistics. Barca has a lot of talent. But with Rashford, they now also have fear. The fear he puts into opponents every time he accelerates. The competitive recovery. Alavés and Atlético Madrid. Barcelona's competitive recovery was no coincidence or the result of a good day. It was the direct consequence of a team that believed in itself again and, above all, started playing as a unit once more. The matches against Alavés and Atlético Madrid were the perfect mirror to see that evolution. After the stumble against Chelsea, Barca came out with a clear message. Intensity is non-negotiable. The team pressed higher, accelerated their pressing actions, and showed an energy that had been missing for weeks. Individual duels stopped being a weakness and became a strength. Against Alavés and Atlético, Barca no longer pressed by instinct but by structure. Lewandowski made the first jump, Pedri guided the press, Raphinha and Lamine closed the inside lanes, and the fullbacks stepped up. For the first time in a long while, the team defended forward and together. The distance between the lines was minimal. The pivots were no longer isolated, the centre-backs were no longer exposed, and the wingers didn't have to track back 40 meters to recover. Flick built a compact team, where everyone moved as a single organism. Lamine in width, Pedri in his control zone, Raphinha on the left and centrally attacking the gaps, Rashford running into space, Lewandowski pinning centre-backs. Flick put the house in order, and the talent did the rest. Making brave and quick decisions. He benched Araujo when it had to be done. He stuck with Gerard Martin when it was the right call. He repositioned pieces without fear and fine-tuned tactical details that changed the team's tempo. Against Alavés and Atlético, Barca's rebirth was clear. A Barca that competes, presses, runs together, and once again controls matches through intention, not improvisation. Barca seems to be coming back. But the big question is, has it truly returned, or is it only showing a preview of what it can become? The answer depends on three factors that will define the Flick era: continuity, physical health, and cohesion. So, are we seeing the real Flick Barca? All signs point to yes. For the first time this season, the team has order, energy, clarity, courage, and identity. For the first time, it feels like a project, not a patch. For the first time, you see a team, not 11 disconnected players. Flick's Barca is being born. And if it stays on this path, it can become one of the most feared teams in Europe. If this Barca keeps growing like this, if Flick sticks to the plan, and if the key pieces stay healthy, then get ready, because what's coming could be historic. Barca is not coming back. Barca is waking up. And when this club wakes up, Europe trembles. If you enjoyed this analysis, remember, like the video, subscribe to Barca Cracks, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any chapter of the CULÉS resurgence. Because what's coming is only just beginning.